prohibited, and thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. That happens all the time. I would now like to turn it over to Jeff Talbert to say a few safety and logistical items, and then I'll come back for a moment to talk about why this meeting, why not, and then I'll introduce our keynote speaker.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. It's our pleasure to host the Ad Hoc Industry Natural Resources Management Group today. We're excited about the panels, and in particular, this is just a great time for everybody to get together and share ideas. Logistically, you've all found the food, hopefully, right outside. Bathrooms are just off to the right. Elevators are out this door and to your right down the long hall. Barbara's been very clear that we're going to keep a tight ship today, time-wise, so we'll look forward to doing that. We're excited for the panels. We've got great speakers, excellent topics, and we should have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff. So why this program and why now? The group, founded nearly 37 years ago this June, is the only industry coalition of multi-sector industrial companies solely focused on the interface between natural resources, air, water, land species, and industrial energy and transportation activities. As I look back over the years of the group's work, I think that the feature that stands out most is our groundbreaking establishment of communication and collaboration in both the United States and Europe outside of the context of regulatory comments and site-specific matters. We added an affiliates program in, I believe, 2003, which opened our communication further up within the group to law firms and consulting firms, and that has really been very value-added for the companies and for the practice arena. One example of our collaboration is obviously the group's over 20-year industry trustee NRD standing committee, with which this meeting is being held in cooperation, and that poster out there lists some of the cooperative entities that we're working with. Similarly, we've had meetings in Europe where we've had over 15 member states of Europe and European Commission representatives involved. So since 1999, which sounds like ancient history, the Standing Committee has provided a mechanism for dialogue and practice exchange between the group's industrial company members, all 5 federal departments and agencies, that is Interior, NOAA, Agriculture, Defense, and Energy, all of whom are represented today except for Defense, and representatives of the state and tribal communities who are also represented well today, sometimes EPA. I'm delighted to have Al McCartland here today, and key national trade associations, and several of those trade associations are also represented here today. So before I get into the purpose and the outcomes of the meeting, I'd like to set a little context, and I'll be as brief as I can so I don't blow my own time schedule. But 2025 clearly brings a series of critical developments. One is a U.S. administration that is focused on government efficiency. Second are updates and changes to federal and state environmental statutes and enforcement priorities. Third is accelerating litigation and rulemaking around climate damages and emerging contaminants. Fourth is new international agreements and ESG frameworks influencing corporate priorities. And lastly is the growing public visibility on how natural resource damages are identified, assessed, and restored, especially in vulnerable communities. This being said, we've never had a stronger case for cross-sector coordination to reduce conflict, enhance efficiency, and improve environmental and community outcomes. We, in essence, are on 2 paths, one focused on navigating real-time policy and regulatory shifts, both domestically and internationally, and a second, very relevant to the group gathered here, a focus on natural resource practice itself, and what is being done at specific cases and sites, and how we can work together when appropriate to achieve common objectives. In addition, we're now 5 years since the COVID pandemic emerged, changing the way we work and how both public and private sectors consider natural resource and environmental issues. And 2020 was also the year the group convened its 12th Natural Resources Symposium and kicked off our work on natural resource damage assessment and restoration best practices. Over the past 5 years, in cooperation with its member companies, affiliate law firms and consulting firms, federal and state agencies, academic institutions, and professional organizations, we've worked to develop the groundbreaking document, which many of you worked on, which is best practice approach frameworks in the context of natural resource damage assessment and restoration, namely PFAS, climate, remediation, restoration, and emergency response and restoration. This document seeks to address the most pressing challenges in natural resource damage assessment and restoration practices, as well as encourage consistency across stakeholder groups and nationwide sites as to how these issues are considered. The best practice approach frameworks were drafted, presented, and vetted at the group's 2022 and 2023 Natural Resources Symposia held at the George Washington University Law School in cooperation with the law school, the George Washington University Environmental and Energy Management Institute, and the Environmental Law Institute. The frameworks were then refined through a series of topic-specific multi-stakeholder workshops in 2024 held in New York City and Washington. So in continuing the momentum of these unique workshops and exchanges, we decided that it would be beneficial to convene this multi-stakeholder state of the practice workshop to discuss changes in natural resource-related practices and precedents in the U.S. and abroad pursuant to the group's continued shaping of clear-cut objectives and related development of tools to aid companies and others in everyday operations. So some of the desired outcomes, and I'm almost done for this meeting today. One is shared situation awareness, helping everyone understand how changes in science, law, and practice are influencing our collective work. Second is identification of innovations and gaps, finding areas where tools and approaches need to evolve or be more fully aligned. Next is operations for collaboration, enabling new partnerships and dialogue across stakeholder groups, especially where tensions and silos currently exist. And then the last one is, what are the practical takeaways that we will bring from this conversation today? We want each participant to leave with new insights, resources, or relationships they can apply in their day-to-day work. We very much look forward to our exchange today. We thank you for joining us. And with that, I am going to introduce our keynote speaker, Roger